Greetings. Welcome to Dorsey's Resource. We're now officially live. The topic of this video is going to be who is stalling the GCR RV? Question for my subscribers. But first, as you guys know, before I get started and go into things, I like to give a disclaimer. This video is for informational, educational, and entertainment purposes only. Please understand everyone's individual circumstance or situation may be different. It's up to every individual competent person. Please do his or her own homework and research regarding the matter being discussed. This information is not to be construed as legal advice. Any event you feel you need to seek a competent professional, it is encouraged you do so at one's own leisure. Dorsey's Resource is not liable or responsible for any misuse of this information. These are simply my opinions on the topic being discussed. With that being said, all rights are reserved. Greetings once again, everyone. I want to thank you for joining me. I'm back. I want to try to get some more videos in, or at least one more before the month is out, before we head into May. But I had a question for you guys. I've done a video like this in the past, and the topic of this video is who is stalling the GCR RV. GCR stands for Global Currency Reset. And this is a question for you guys to interact, see how many people join into the chat or the discussion, and I'm going to give my weigh in on the topic itself. Looks like we have someone so far. Let me read the message. Terry McLaughlin says, "Hey brother, how you been?" I've been good, thank you for asking. Appreciate you joining, Terry. Thanks for coming in. And Mary Saunders says, "Hello sir, greetings to you. Appreciate you joining in." So you guys are welcome to chime in anytime. I was just curious. I've heard in the past, just wanted to get my way in about this thing. If you know about the currencies, the dinar, the global currency reset, I'm just curious. I wanted to get you guys weigh in on this. It's the reason I'm doing this video. Is it still a good investment in the dinar? Let me read that again. Zamir Ahmed says, is it still a good investment for the dinar? I would hope so, in my opinion. It seems like the reason I'm doing this particular video is different in the past. I wanted to get you guys take, because there appears to be people out there more knowledgeable than myself. I don't want to sound like a know-it-all. So I just want to get you guys weigh in on it. I'm going to give my weigh in, of course, just off the top of the head. But I've heard in the past rumors. Some people said it's the cabal. Some people have said it's the Federal Reserve, it's the Treasury. And I heard that actually the Treasury has something to do with the release code supposedly supposed to be going to the banks. C3 Cass County Catabana says, "My brother Dorsey, greetings, triple more." I believe that's you, C3 Cass County. Thank you for joining, Trip. Appreciate you. So I'm just curious, because like I said, I don't want to come off like a know-it-all. I want to get you guys get some other input. Who's holding this up? I think, in my opinion, I think it's real, but I'm just curious how all of a sudden the cryptocurrencies, how Bitcoin went up to like 20,000 a couple years ago, but we still don't have an RV yet. And then I was part of, some of you guys know, a private clandestine operation some years back. And there's some people that know me. I'm gonna let you guys know the reason I don't talk about that much. I just want to document this. Is that I had some people who were on my Facebook friends list. There were some people I removed from my friends list not too long ago, recently, that I felt my personal Facebook. Now I'm not talking about my resource page, but I have a personal account as well. And I felt like they were kind of accosting me, saying that they didn't want their names or whatever put out there, and I do understand that, but at the same time, I had some pet peeves as well as other individuals did. I've heard on the calls in regards to that seminar with so-called Pastor Tony King, and that was just a pseudonym name that he was using, by the way. That was already admitted some years ago online. That's not my words. That's actually was online. You can listen to David Clarence from years ago. I directed people to that a long time ago. I answered questions about that already. You guys can still look up if you punch in the names together with David Clarence. But I'm just curious, if they had our best interest at heart, why does this thing keep taking so long? They stress humanitarian projects, but I also heard Tank from the Real Truth Call, which was a separate Truth Call. I'm not talking about Willie's Truth Call, but there was another conference call called The Real Truth Call, and Tank has a YouTube channel now. I didn't even know about this. There was a guy that I met from the what do you call it, the TDA secret account movement that broke out a couple years ago, and he put me up on Tank's channel. And I remember Tank had said at one time, this was not about just humanitarian projects. This was also about freeing the world from financial slavery. Because one of the things, the cabal, the tactics that they're using, they like to put front people in place like politicians. But the main thing I've identified, it appears that they're using as a weapon, is the monetary system, because they have the ability, from what it appears like, to pull money, currency out of thin air, out of the blue. And some of us who went through these private classes, seminars to learn this information, they all of a sudden are changing things around. They're hiding information. It's other individuals coming out teaching now, when there's honorable individuals who went through a lot of hard work at the time. And I'm referring to that one program that I was part of, but there were others out there from other people. I'm going to get back to the chat, guys, just to let you guys know. But I just, kind of giving my way in. I feel like if they really care, and they keep emphasizing humanitarian projects, then why do they keep stalling this? Because it appears like that these are some of the same very people that are behind this. How did they have access to this information? And why are they holding this back? Especially as individuals that pay money already for these seminars, these events, went head over fist, went through hell already. And I feel like I'm not going back through that mess again. That's why I decided for the time being not to come back. And I feel like you can't have it both ways. You can't just want me to be quiet and say shut up and just be patient, but at the same time, you took money from people, you promised things was going to come through, and this thing keeps stalling. And then it was stated that this was going to happen by January this year. It was going to be done. Then I noticed it changed up. The story changes. And then I hear there's other people. One individual came out defending this person. Well, this person doesn't control the RV. Well, I didn't even know. I thought that this program wasn't contingent upon the RV happening. If you guys know how to pull money out of thin air, dark money from the DTC, yeah, I said it, Depository Trust Corporation. If it is real, whatever, you guys have these secret loopholes that you're attempting to hide. But remember, with the TDA account a couple years ago, people already took screen captures of how those payments were going through PayPal and Amazon. There's evidence where people are linking accounts to Amazon and showed evidence how the Federal Reserve Bank would pop up when you would click other bank with PayPal, until allegedly pressure was put on PayPal by the FBI, because the Federal Reserve wanted to do public relations, damage control when things went too public or whatever, and got out of hand, and they didn't want people to know about the evidence. Trip says, yes, indeed, I have that evidence. Yes, thank you for confirming, Trip. See, so it's not just myself, but other people out there have this information, this knowledge. I actually shared with the subscribers some time ago a video that I had. It was a guy, his channel was called, his real name was Ronald Renafort. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing it correctly, but he was doing excellent videos and showing evidence. And I was able to download a couple of his videos before YouTube shut his whole channel down. Now, why would they shut this guy's whole channel down and see this guy as a threat? And he's not talking about stuff related to conspiracy theory or any of that stuff. He's talking about financial freedom, showing you the things pertaining to the private sector, how to transition yourself from the public into the private, how the elites, how the high level people are doing it. He was giving like a blueprint. So I'm just I'm calling BS on this thing. If these events and these people are telling you they're coming off as Christians and loving, adorable people and speaking in cryptic code messages, I just don't buy it. My thing is, make this happen. Bottom line. I said this before, you're going to have individuals. I tried to be patient as long as I could, as long as possible. And there's all sorts of people that watch my channel. So I want to say, I'm not a snitch or anything like that. I've been accused by some people in the past because of what I revealed. And there were some people telling me they didn't want their names being put out there or whatever when I was part of that private clandestine operation. And that's fine. There's certain people, certain names I would never mention it. And there's names, excuse me, that I haven't mentioned. But if push comes to shove or whatever, and a friend of mine sent me information that this event that took place some years ago, I didn't even know this until some years back. I had to ask a friend of mine. He had, I found out years later, he had a background in the military, and allegedly I was able to pull this out of him. He said he worked for the Department of Interior in Washington, D.C. And that's pretty deep. And from his research, he emailed me these documents. I didn't even know people in Orlando, Florida at the World Marriott Hotel had filed a complaint, and some people in Tampa, Florida. I had no idea, no clue about that in relation to the Pastor Tony King seminar. I didn't even know till he sent that to me. I was like, whoa. So I guess that's what years ago, that's what they were talking about on one of the private conference calls. But I haven't been following it lately because I feel like this is just dirty what they're doing. I'm just giving my way in to let you guys know it's real because there's nobody else that's doing it. There's people out there, I guess they're afraid. There's spookism going on. But I didn't want to deviate. You guys are welcome to chime in. The topic of this video is who is stalling the GCR RV. I want to try to stay on topic, get you guys weigh in. Feel free to chime in, give an opinion. I welcome it. I'll read your opinion in the chat. But my question is to you guys, who is holding up the GCR? That stands for Global Currency Reset. That's an acronym. RV is an acronym for revaluation. Who is holding this up? For if you guys know about the dinar, for those of you all who know about the foreign currencies, the dinar, the Vietnamese dong, the Iranian rial, and how did the cryptocurrencies all of a sudden just come out the blue and just take over like it's the next, best thing, the greatest thing in the world. And I'm hearing allegedly they're talking about getting rid of all paper currency. What's up with that? If they weren't in control of this, very suspect and very suspicious. In my opinion, I say it would be a great travesty if the RV never happens or takes place, or they decide to just shut it all down. That would be, absolutely horrible and despicable. In my opinion, that would be the very most horrible and despicable thing. But this is what I'm hearing. I don't know if they're going to follow through with this, but in my opinion, they need to make this happen ASAP. If it's the Treasury that's holding this up, who's the current Secretary of Treasury? Is it Steven Mnuchin or whatever? I heard, that the banks, one last thing, they're waiting for these release codes or final. And it's like we hear excuse after excuse. Even I heard TNT Tony say, because I don't claim to be a know-it-all or know all the information. I listen to other conference calls just like you guys. I listen to Bruce the Big Call. I've listened to Uta out there. I've listened to Trust Unlimited, all sorts of calls. I've listened to Frank back in the day, all sorts of different conference calls on there. Even the call years ago, Oki, I've listened to his call. Thing 1, Thing 2, I've listened to Wang Dang. There's a list of other Randy Kuntz. Just throwing some names off the top of the head. I used to read dinarguru.com quite a bit, like every night, dinar recaps. I don't read it as much as I used to. But, I'm asking you guys, this is like very suspect. How does this keep being stalled? We're all the way in 2019. And I mean, it's like when they keep promising, this is giving people false hopes and false dreams. This is a form of lying. This is telling the story of fib, a lie. This is obviously habitual lying. And it's sickening, this is disgusting, and it's despicable. What you're doing to people in the public sector, especially if these accounts used to go through, and you're allegedly saying because people are U.S. citizens and that's why these discharges are not going through or whatever. It just shows another form of elitism that, no, it looks like you guys are purposely trying to block people from accessing this wealth that is part of their exemption account that belongs to them, and you don't want to release it. And there's validity behind this. I've done screen capture videos. Contrary to gatekeepers out there, I can deconstruct. There's one I follow. I check out every now and then the videos that she does and what she says, and she mixes in a lot of lies with truth. And I will say this: there is some truth to what she's saying, but what she's focusing on is a lot of misinformed people. There are con artists, there are pimps, players, and hustlers, like anything in life. That's anything. So everybody has to do their own valid research, investigation, make their own assessment. But I can tell you for sure, as being an insider, being someone who attended the Pastor Tony King seminar, that was part of other private humanitarian programs or prosperity programs, whatever label people want to call it, because people play the semantics game and want to fight over what you call it, this, that, and the other, to try to deflect and steer away. So, you know, I'm just saying that I know for a fact that this was real. The redemption movement was real. There's validity to it, contrary to all that other nonsense out there. And I'm working on some other stuff down the line to prove about contracts that we enter into. Like, I was going to the bank recently, and I had a banker couple recently that looked at the back of my check, because I'm still public, trying to get out of some of these contracts, but some of these scumbag elites are holding the information. They're not fully releasing because they want to keep those of us who are in the know enslaved in these contracts, and they turn the checks into derivatives. Did you know years ago the paper checks that people would receive, they would turn them into they would send them back to you? Like, say if this was a paycheck, for example, this is actually a receipt from an ATM machine, but let's say if this was a check, you know how you have a check, personal check from a bank account. They used to send them, mail them back to you. This is what a source I have, and few people have told me that, and I've heard about this years ago. But then they started keeping them. Why they start keeping them? Because they turn these things into derivatives. And notice if you pull out a dollar bill, it says this note, hold it up to the camera, is legal tender for all debts, public and private. Interesting. For public and private, you have to really pay attention to that. It says this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. I'll pull out another note, a $5 bill. This fiat currency, and it also says Federal Reserve note. We have a tendency to call this money, but legally, did you know it's not money in a court of law? This is a Federal Reserve note that's copywritten. And did you know the Federal Reserve note is a quasi corporation, government entity, meaning it has partial government responsibility, but it's also been privatized. That's what the quasi term means, to be more specific, because a lot of people don't explain that. But it says Federal Reserve. This is a $5 bill, and it also says at the bottom of this emblem from the Federal Reserve, it says this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. You know, if you just look at the currency, you know, they put this stuff right in people's face. So for this gatekeeper out there to always call stuff a conspiracy theory and say people are radical, this, that, and the other, no, there's people, there is validity to this. There's people that do their research in the redemption education, what I like to call it. That is valid information. That's credible if you know what to look for. And being in this movement a long time, it is very frustrating. I know, not just for myself, but a previous video that I've done, there are those out there that ask me, well, what's going on? Why is the dinar being stalled? And I can't say for sure, but I have my opinions, and I have heard from some sources, allegedly. I don't know for a fact, but I heard the Federal Reserve is still, the cabal is still behind the scenes. And maybe it would be a great travesty if we're waiting for these arrests to happen. Because if these arrests are to take place, if these were former politicians or people, dignitaries and people in high government positions, and especially the prior administration that was stalling this and holding this up, then we got to wait for them to be arrested for this to happen. That's a bunch of BS. Because have you guys out there heard that there's people who've allegedly been allowed to exchange? Like, my question to you guys, because I have some notes here with me, do you guys believe that some high net worth people or privileged people have had the ability to exchange? I'm putting this out there. Please chime in, guys. This is why I do. It's funny the times I ask, you know, to do videos where I want you guys, my subscribers, input, and I can't get nobody at all, hardly anybody. Other times I'm flowing and I get thousands of people in the chat. But I'm asking you guys, this video is not about me. My subscribers, you guys have all the power. You know, I'm just one person. I'm just a messenger, just sharing my experience, what I've been through, sharing it with you guys. But who is stalling the GCR RV? Question for my subscribers. Okay, we're gonna jump in the chat. Eric John says, yes, I have heard that, but no proof. Mary Saunders, thank you, Mary, for confirming. And like I said, to reiterate, don't be shy. Once again, the question is, the latest question I just posed is, do you guys believe that there's some high net worth people or privileged people who've already been allowed to exchange their dinar already? Do you guys think that it's real? That is valid. I believe that is real. I think Chris Smith says more likely than not. Okay. Great. I respect that opinion. Let's see if we can get some more people in the chat. And guys, if you can, be sure to hit the thumbs up, the like button. If you can, let's get the thumbs up going on. So you know, we can rank higher in the search so this video can get out to more people. And you guys are welcome to share these videos as well. Appreciate you. Thank you very much. So my question once again, who is stalling the GCR RV? Question for my subscribers. Do you guys believe that it's high net worth people? Because I heard back in 2014, I first heard from listening on TNT's show, you know, TNT Tony, from listening to his conference call back in 2014. And it sounded like there was a lot of frustration earlier in the year or whatnot. But I noticed that around that same time of the year, and I've never really mentioned this before, but there was one particular currency exchange place in Michigan, and more specifically, I'll say in Birmingham. And it was called, let me think of the name specifically. I believe it was called Foreign Currency Exchange, because you have another one that's under the name American Foreign Currency Exchange. I'm revealing this for the first time. These are brick and mortar locations, by the way. I'm sharing this for the first time ever. 7100 Warhawk says, hello, Dorsey. Good to see you. Thank you, Warhawk. Greetings. Thank you for joining the discussion. So, Annie Bo says, no, it's illegal. Okay. I respect that. Do you mean like are you referring to the dinar? Because I heard the sanctions were lifted, but they have not been lifted allegedly for the Iranian rial or whatever. Somebody in the discussion and jumping back in the chat says, I think the wealthy don't want us to have this money. Yes, I'm in agreements with that. You know, Got Liberty Girl 29 states that. But at the same time, did you know years ago there was a deal that was allegedly made? When you watch the movie documentary, I recommend everybody check this out. You can watch it for free on YouTube. It's called Changes on the Horizon. It's parts 1 through 3. Somebody uploaded an uncut version. It's called Changes on the Horizon, parts 1 through 3. And it talks about the cabal, with the plan that's basically been in place for a number of years. And it does kind of go over that there's elites or people that didn't want everyday people accessing this information from what it appears like. But at the same time, they had a meeting. There was a deal where the good guys met with the bad guys years ago. And I know Pastor Lindsey Williams states that his elite friends have a code of ethics that they are supposed to follow, spiritual laws. And it appears that they're in violation of these spiritual laws. So this is very concerning, because they're supposed to be going by, you know, he said that's why they revealed this information, why they would share it, because even when they're going to do something, they're supposed to admit it, he said, according to the spiritual laws. But it looks like they're breaking these spiritual laws. Okay, let me see. Somebody else, a couple other people jumped in the chat. Annie Bo says it's not international. Okay, 7100 Warhawk says, I just watched that again the other day. Okay, awesome documentary. Yes, thank you. Annie Bo says that would be illegal. Can you get more specific, Annie Bo, what you're referring to, so I could get greater clarification or whatnot? Because I have heard, as far as the dinar, allegedly, because I'm asking you, I'm getting input from you guys, we're sharing information. I don't claim to be a know-it-all, but I've heard, you know, from listening from TNT source, that the RV, when dinar's currency, what's going on over in Iraq, because remember their government was overthrown with Saddam Hussein. They're putting going through a new power structure over there. Hold on, guys, I gotta be back real quick. Okay, thank you guys for waiting. My take on it is, I've heard that from listening to TNT's call some years ago, they said dinar, Iraq, what's going on over there, that when this does officially go down, if ever, it seems like it's never going to happen. It seems like it just keeps getting delayed, stalled. He says they're going to get a different rate, but for us, it's something else, because this is like an investment. as well. So let me see somebody. Let me jump back in the chat. Says they do illegal things. God Liberty had message retracted. Eric John says, and they also know how to stretch the parameters to play inbounds for themselves. Yes, I agree with that. Multi Haystack says, hi, your brother Dorsey. Greetings to you, Multi Haystack. Thank you for joining. God Liberty says they don't abide by spiritual laws. They're demons. That is funny. Yeah, that is real funny. I can agree. Cosign. But it's like at the same time, that's why Pastor Lindsey Williams, in case you guys are wondering, because you have people out there, you know, we all have different perspectives, different ways to look at it. That's why I'm doing this video, to get input from you guys, because it's not about me or just my opinion. I don't want it to be one-sided where this is an echo chamber where I'm saying, yeah, this is going to happen. You know, everybody go out there and buy a dinar. And, I don't push, just like I did a previous video where I don't push any particular sites like to buy currency. I encourage, that's why I give a disclaimer. This is not financial advice. This is not legal advice. I encourage everyone to make their own assessment. I really highly encourage that, because I think if you do, you're going to see that this is more than meets the eye. It's deeper. But I do feel, and from observation, I've heard many different types of scenarios out there. But in particular, to get back to Pastor Lindsey Williams, it was stated, the reason he said he came out and gave the information that he stated, I can't remember if he said this when he went on Alex Jones's show some years ago, that they have to give put the information out there according to these laws that they believe. But it appears like maybe since a lot of people started waking up, they're breaking their own spiritual laws. They're not putting the information out there. They're hiding it. But he said it's like they have to tell you before they do something. And he said they were real big on in this particular rule, this law that they have. But I do agree when God Liberty says, once again, they don't abide by spiritual laws. They are demons. Yeah, many of them. And I would say all elites aren't created the same. I would say I'm not trying to lump all of them in the same category. I know this sounds like an oxymoron, but someone I know personally states he calls one group the good cabal, because allegedly there's rumors that the cabal, the children don't want to go along with them, or they don't want to be evil like their parents once they found out that their parents, some of them have a real bad reputation as far as what they've done to harm the world, humanity, and the type of facade that they put up. So they actually want to change things. So we want to be careful sometimes who you attack. Do your assessment, whatever, because you never know who might be actually trying to do work to get this out there to actually occur, if that's the case. But I'm just saying, when I was part of that private humanitarian program, aka the Pastor Tony King seminar, why is it that he was coming off as a Christian? I'm not saying, if there's this higher up person behind the scenes, there appears that there's other people out there, but we need to know this. There needs to be more transparency. We need to know who this boss was. Is it a boss? Who are these people that are supposed to call from the DTC? This is what I never could understand. When they say you're supposed to get a phone call from the DTC, the big house. I said it, Depository Trust Corporation. But you guys want me to shut up, and there's this spookism thing. But it appears as though in order to make this happen, then that would appear that you guys are in control of this. So you guys are not humanitarian at all. You guys are wicked then. It's like you guys are playing a game of cat and mouse and fishing rod, where you're holding a bait and you keep pulling it away, promising and saying this is going to happen, and that's giving people false hopes and false dreams. And it's people in the public sector. These are people's lives you're playing with. People still have to punch a 9-to-5 job. I mean, punch a clock, go to a 9-to-5 job. People out here working hard. This is not a game. Some people are at different ages. Some people have health problems. I've heard health issues. Like I heard Oki, who was involved with the dinar movement, he needed to have surgery. I haven't even heard from Oki in years or whatever. Some people have been waiting years. Some people have even died already, died from cancer. This is really unfortunate. This is sad. Why does this keep going on? So my question to you guys, once again, before I shut this video down, because I am on a time limit, unfortunately, I am at the slavery plantation, I call it. It is for what it is. I'm not totally free yet, because of some of these scumbags. And they've done a lot of dirty stuff. There's some other stuff I want to go into, like some stuff I've been through with my job, some stuff that's related to politics, They've done some really wicked, evil stuff. By the way, I have some, I would say, speaking from experience, in my opinion, evidence behind it from stories, stuff that I've gone through or whatever, and notice how they've changed things up. Like they're trying to force people literally to be slaves and using their social security number. But back to when I was, once again, this discussion is open. Feel free to chime in. My question for my subscribers: who is stalling the GCR? Do you guys believe that some high net worth people or privileged people have exchanged already? If that's the case, do you guys think that that's fair to people who haven't exchanged yet? Do you think if it is real, then people who haven't exchanged, who are poor middle class, should have gotten access to this wealth if they want to do so-called humanitarian projects, and their goal is, if they're loving people, they're compassionate humanitarians and want to help out the general public? Wouldn't it make sense that the poor middle class should have exchanged first, or the public, or tier 4? Just think about that. Nobody really talks about that. Something Bruce maybe should have a discussion on his call. Maybe he can't. Maybe because, I understand with the source is high up. It might piss some of them off. They might get mad. I don't know. But it doesn't make sense. Some of these people already have money. That's like greedy. They're eating good. They're sleeping good at night. Their children are well taken care of. They're not worrying about the same thing as others. So if they really have a heart, compassion, and this is about humanitarian effort, then please release this. Stop stalling this. This is just sad, but the other thing I'm going to go into, so leaving, it's up for you guys, last call, roll call for you guys to chime in, whatever is on your mind. This also Q&A, chime in on the discussion. But I went to this bank. I was telling this story earlier before I got sidetracked. And they used to send their checks back to you. I was depositing a paycheck, and I used to get direct deposit. Where the company I work for, they changed things all of a sudden where we're getting paper checks. And there's some other things I can go into, and that's more, you may think it's more of a better convenience for direct deposit, but I'm going to just sum it up. That's actually a hidden contract too. Even though it seems it's more inconvenient, but having physical paychecks issued, the few companies that are left that still do that, that's actually what you want to do, so you can put restrictive endorsements, things of that nature, to protect, because your signature is being monetized. But what they do is they take these instruments, for example, let's just say that this dollar bill was a check, a paycheck, and they used to send your personal checks back to you from your bank account. They used to mail it back to you, from what some people mentioned. And they don't do that no more. Of course, you guys know. Then you can go online on your online banking. You can actually see an image, a photo of your check. They sell that on the derivatives market. Now, here it is. I'm at the bank, and I put a restrictive endorsement on there. I won't say the name, but I had the banker ask, okay, what looks today like, what is this right here? And I'm like, you're supposed to be a banker. You're supposed to know this. So I say, I'm just simply, I'm protecting my signature. I don't want my name being sold. But she's like, you still signed it. But she didn't realize, I signed it a certain way, because there's, based on how you sign, everything is done out here is legally, whether you're aware of it or not. There's a legal aspect. Like in the court system, there's no conspiracy behind this straw man thing that people claim in the so-called sovereign citizen movement, that straw man is a myth or terminology, that you have this name in all capital letters. Yes, you do. In the court system, it's called in lingus. Within the court system, look up the definition of in lingus. Look up the Black's Law term for in lingus. Also look up res. Look up those words. I'm trying to think of another term to look up as well, but just those two. Start off with look up in lingus, and look up capitis diminutio maxima and capitis diminutio minima. They still use these rules in place of grammar. Grammar has rules to it. There's laws behind it. But based on how you sign, there's contracts. Now, lawyers won't tell you this. When they take on a client, we had a sister. I was working with a sister last year on a private call, and another sister was on there. She admitted that when she hired a lawyer, her lawyer referred to her account, which was attached to her in lingus, as a trust account. She said her lawyer referred to it when people were calling these trust accounts, and the gatekeeper out there was trying to say, these are not trust accounts. These don't belong to you, this, that, and the other. Well, they are using people as corporations. This is a fact. You just have to do your research. Just because you haven't been educated on this doesn't mean it's not true. Doesn't mean it's not factual. This is not conspiracy theory. I gave you legal terms to look up. I've also done screen capture videos in the past that you can go back and look up. And I probably will do some more down the line to go into details to show more validity. Some stuff I can't go as in depth or get really into, but I'm just giving you guys enough to prove to you guys enough validity. So this banker was saying, you know, what is this right here? You sign your name, assert. I said it's a restrictive endorsement. So it's not my job to teach you. You're supposed to be a banker. What do you work at a bank for and you don't know what a restrictive endorsement is? Okay, I get it. That's why we have to blame it on the school systems, the colleges, economics class. You need to take up accounting, banking, finance, but they're not teaching people all the information they're supposed to learn, or just information they want people to know. Like I said, for example, I said you have for deposit only. That's a form of a restrictive endorsement, or for not for deposit. You know, these are different types of endorsements that you have, and there's other types. And I said basically, you know, they take these checks, for example, even though this is a dollar bill, this is fiat. Remember, once again, legally, this is a Federal Reserve note. So there's those, we're used to calling it money. I like to use currency sometimes, but legally, in a court of law, it's a Federal Reserve. You get caught up in certain situations, there's legal ramifications behind it. That's the difference. That's what a certain individual out there isn't telling you about. The legality behind things, and your signature is important. Check that out as well. And I can't remember his channel. Kelby Smith puts out good information. Check out his YouTube channel. I can't remember if that's the name he's still going by on his channel or whatever, but he puts out good information in relation to what I'm going over to help train you. And I'm still learning myself, but I've just went over collective information to kind of weigh in. And the topic was who is stalling the GCR, that stands for Global Currency Reset, RV. Question for my subscribers. Didn't really have as many people to chime in. That's fine. But maybe next time. You guys are welcome to leave comments in the comment section as well. I will disable it, you know, if things get out of hand as well. But I'll leave it open for the time being. Hopefully, if you guys want to chime in then. But that was my question for those of you all who missed this video, who might come back later to view it. But so far, I want to thank you guys for joining. I'm your host, John Dorsey at Dorsey's Resource. You can follow me on Facebook at Dorsey's Resource. I'm on Twitter at Dorsey's Resource, and of course, YouTube at Dorsey's Resource. I'm also on Minds.com and Gab.ai as well. I haven't been on there that much lately, but that's like a backup in a way because of a lot of the censorship going on YouTube. Also, if you want to follow me, a few of my personal things that I'm into, just to show you guys, let you guys know I'm into other stuff. I'm not one-dimensional. You can also follow me on Instagram at Dorsey's _ resource 2019. Dorsey's with the S _ resource 2019 at Instagram, if you want to check me out there. So I want to thank you guys for watching.